What's going on, everybody? It's Dan, back with another episode of Fun, a very special episode of Fun, where I celebrate 100 episodes of Distory Dan. Thanks for joining us. As always, I have my podcast producer with me, Nathan. Nathan, hello.
Oh, hello, Daniel. It's really hard to know what to get somebody for their 100th video YouTube anniversary. I looked on Google. What was recommended? You know how they're like silver or wood or whatever.
Oh, sure, yeah.
For 100 YouTube episodes, they suggest therapy.
I've been in it the entire time I've been making YouTube videos, so
yeah.
I gave myself.
I got you a coupon for 2 for 1. So 2 therapists.
Okay, great.
For the price of 1.
Perfect.
Double on up for the next 100, I say.
Yes. Oh, yeah. An extra therapist actually wouldn't be bad. Just a therapist for my work would actually be awesome. So
we're doing a side podcast. Yeah, we're doing a side podcast called Therapy, which is just you and four therapists all analyzing you from different angles.
Well, for my 100th episode, I thought it would be fun to talk to my OG gang of content creators, the Charity Land Bros, my number ones, the guys that when I started making videos were the first people I sort of met and hung out with. And so let me introduce them all to you one at a time, starting with Jack, the chillest man on YouTube, previously Park Ride Histories, but now the king of theme parks shouldn't exist. A hilarious pivot. Jack, hello.
TPSC, yep.
TPSC. You getting that going? You trying to get that going?
Yeah, it's a new wave. It's a new mode of thinking, but...
Oh, no. Okay. And theme parks shouldn't exist, and you've always felt this way, or is this way you're feeling new?
It's based on some of the more recent revelations in theme park history. Yeah, some of the stuff that's been going on. But of course, the built-in double meaning, the double entendre of the name shouldn't exist.
Sure.
Just historical standpoint, anomalous nature of all that, and then also, yes, they've gone too far. It's time.
Amazing. Rob plays midway to Main Street.
And now
nothing.
And now the only other face on this video. Yeah.
I got a letter saying I had read through all of the Reedy Creek documents and there was nothing left to make videos on. So that was it. I handed in my silver play button and they sent me on my way.
How is retirement, Rob?
It's good. I almost this morning thought of coming out of retirement to do a review. Did you see? Well, I don't want to jump into it early. They put out the menu for the cake bake shop at the boardwalk.
I did see this.
I was like, I want to go do a restaurant review, and it'll be the first Disney restaurant review where you never actually review the restaurant because it's too expensive, and you just spend the whole review outside looking at the menu, talking about how crazy it is to pay like $23 for eggs or something. So
right. And then
one of these
leave.
days, something's going to push me over the edge and I will come back and it'll be nothing like the old channel. And it'll just be me going off on some weird thing that Disney's doing.
Right. They get off my lawn, you kids era of your life.
The real thanks Joe Biden era of Rob Blaze.
Bottle of Coke is $8 over there. That's crazy.
Whoa, really? Is it $8 in the park now?
Can't possibly be, right?
$8.
No, that can't be.
No way.
Just give it time, guys. What we're working on it.
Give it time. You give it time.
Slow creep.
And then, of course, we have Kevin, Mr. Defunctland himself, creator of the greatest YouTube twist in the history of mankind. Shapeland was Animal Kingdom all along. People are still talking about it to this day. What's up, Kev?
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Sounds so thrilled.
Kevin didn't understand the assignment today, and that's fine. But we still welcome him, and we're glad to have him.
Dan, do you have like material on Kevin? Is that why he has to be here? Is it?
Well,
he sounds so enthused.
I thought he loved me. I
do love you.
No,
I've never even been on this podcast properly.
No, well, you are now.
I haven't had a single episode, so this is my debut on Fun.
This is well. Neither is Jack, and Jack will have his own episode too.
Yeah,
so.
but
I'm slow rolling it in, man. I'm slow rolling it in.
yeah, but nobody's.
This is what happens when you don't get into Lord.
This is what I do. This is how I appear.
You know,
everyone's like, "Where's Jack?" What do you mean? No one's like, "Where's Jack?" Everyone loves Jack.
TPSC,
so, boys,
I should say.
TPSC, right? Yeah. Not Park. I have to correct myself. You know, it's
okay.
not Park
Dude,
Ride History.
Even
anymore.
if you type in Park Ride History, it still comes up. So it's nice.
It still comes up, right?
A little bit of both.
Right.
Yeah, until I make a YouTube channel called Park Ride History to get all that sweet SEO
the
you're leaving behind.
Siphon off of it, right?
Theme
Yeah.
Park Ride History.
It's for sale. Yeah, if you need the domain, you can have that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it like you're a political campaign to let it lapse. I'm gonna make it
a redirect.
Rob, you
Dan,
changed
Dan,
you changed your name too.
Yeah, last year.
Did that when you search for Rob Plays on YouTube? Do you still come up?
Let's find out.
There should be enough metadata
If you guys,
for
you
that.
guys should check out.
Who wants to bet it's gonna be like I'm gonna come up with.
A Defunctland subreddit post comes up that says, "Whatever happened to Park Ride History, Jack or Rob?"
Yeah. My subreddit's SEO is better than my own YouTube channel's SEO. I don't know what's that.
Now, Dan, you guys should all check out fuzzygnomes.com because
Right, yeah.
that is now the hot thing. It's the new hot website.
Yeah, the CEO of Fun.com purchased a domain name for me, Fuzzy Gnomes. I don't know. So I really appreciate that, Tom. Thanks. It now redirects to my YouTube channel. So if you go to fuzzygnomes.com, it goes to YouTube, it's Disney Dan. So that's fun.
Dude, fuzzy gnomes are evergreen. That's digital real estate. That's property. You're gonna want to hang on to that.
Right.
It's not getting any cheaper.
This guy, Tom, man, he's wild. He used to own t-shirts.com. He owned comicbooks.com. And then he leveraged those and sold those off to getfun.com. It's wild. This guy's like a domain
So he just
a
traded
domain
them
wizard.
like Pokemon cards.
And he
Dude,
was doing this in 2009 when it was not valuable anymore.
Right. When the domain bubble popped.
This was 10 years after the .com boom. He was just really into he says coming back.
It'll be back any minute, guys. Trust me.
People are going to stop using Google. They're going to just go. They're going to remember domains again.
Right. It's so interesting though, but that's how I grew up with the internet. Rob and Nathan can probably you grew up. The internet was new, so you would just go to thething.com to get
Ask Jeeves.
that.
AskJeeves.com.
Right, but also you would go to I don't know, boobs.com, or you just go to the thing to see the thing, you know?
Superman.com.
Oh, wow.
Right, yeah.
I was going to say E-Bombs World or something.
Go.com.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Go
at least
Network.
our generation would agree that the moment Ask Jeeves turned to Ask.com, that was the beginning of the end. You know, you lost Jeeves, and then what was the point
Jeeves.
anymore? And Lycos,
R.I.P.
go get
Jeeves.
it. There's a thing from the past. No.
Dude, I'm obsessed with old internet stuff at this point. Sorry to cut you off, Dan.
Don't even get me started, dude. I've been way back machining a lot lately. It's great. Old web design UI I want it to come back.
Yeah, I was listening to, I mean, this is a slight tangent. I was listening to Cray Sean. You guys remember Gucci from 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Gucci, Louis Fendi. Great song. Incredible. But I visit her website just because it's in the description as I'm listening. And it's like she had a classic old school website. But my point being is that there was something so quaint, like the guest book. The guest book on the website.
Oh, the guest
I was
book.
obsessed. But I did find out that 123 guest book is closing down. They've been closed since July of this year, so it's over again.
Another great piece of lost media.
Dan, have you ever been to one of my favorite not lost media, but old school websites, which still exists, still runs, still has a blog? The composer of Tron and several other scores, Wendy Carlos. WendyCarlos.com is a perfect website, and it's wonderful because it is still maintained. It's just the best.
Rob's eyebrows got
Told ya.
so high when he went there.
What's going on?
Wasn't joking. Rob sees what I'm talking about.
It's
We
the
love old
era
web
of
design.
like image backgrounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they don't just do. It's not solid color. It's not animated though, so it's not fully there. But wow,
Lest we forget the tiled image background.
yeah,
which, you know,
exactly.
Yeah, the copyright for this website starts in 1996, and I don't think it's changed since then. So
I mean, and they're a little bit behind too. I mean, that's only up to 2020. So
yeah.
So I'm a stickler for that. I always scroll down, man. You get spoiled on YouTube. They do it for you. Everyone else, you got to be vigilant.
tell you how old something is.
Now you said you're a stickler. What happens when you fall upon a website that is not up to date with its copyright? Like, do you just go ham on taking everything from that point on?
My first move is I have to open the guest book and leave a comment.
Jack was here.
If that's an option.
Now, do you
Second
sign
one.
Park Ride History or do you sign Theme Park Shouldn't Exist?
I signed the webmaster of parkridehistory.com just so they know who's rating them.
Oh my goodness. So I've made 100 episodes now. I've 100 episodes. Elmo is my 100th episode, and it's kind of bananas to me, all the episodes that have done well and not done well. Just to have a small narcissistic moment of the podcast. Do any of you have favorite episodes that I have done over the past that you can think of? If you don't, it's okay. I'm still your friend.
Okay, I'll start. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not in them, so no way.
That's actually so funny you say that, Jack, because we did an episode together on your channel about the history of the Haunted Mansion holiday. And I stumble upon it every once in a while. And because I'm researching something about the Haunted Mansion holiday again, and I'm like, and I often go to your videos or Kevin's videos or Rob's videos because I'm like, all right, here's some really well-researched information. Like I can kind of know where to start looking from here. And then my voice pops in. I'm like, well, I can't trust any of this.
Oh no, I'm talking to myself on the TV again. It's terrible.
It's happening.
I'm in this.
I like your Tinkerbell one, Dan.
Thanks,
The
Rob.
Castle Tink. But like, I'm browsing like your channel now, and I feel like the biggest takeaway, looking at all these thumbnails, is how terrible Disney was. No, how terrible everybody was at costumes. Like 70 years ago.
Oh,
just no matter what it was, it's always hideous.
Yes. And that really, for a long time, was the bread and butter of, I mean, it really still is. If I can find a good old school janky looking costume, I immediately am like, oh man, cha-ching. Like I found the original Cat in the Hat costume that they commissioned and like in its first appearance with Hillary Clinton in a library. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a great picture for the episode. So if I can find a good janky first costume, I jump like right on it. I'm like, we're all about it.
I guess their thought process though is like, they're like, well, what do you want? Like there's, you look at like the Mickey from, 1930s or something, and it's like, well, what other Mickey you're going to compare it to? You're going to take what you can get.
Yeah.
Look at this
Right, exactly.
weird
And
Dumbo.
it's not even that. It's that all costumes look like that across the board at the time, because a lot of these big studios would go to these mom and pop local costume shops that are making paper mache heads of like bears or whatever it is, for local events and attractions. And they would be like, all right, you can make a Mickey because we need him to appear here, here, and here. And then you can rent him. And like, so like the standard of just how we made costumes was just, it's wild how it slowly stepped forward kind of universally. Once one guy figures out how to do something new, everyone copies it like instantly. But for a long time, it was just no one blinked an eye. Like there are pictures of happy kids, but at the same time, there is that weird phobia that's kind of grown, I feel like, in children of large costumed characters. And that had to come from somewhere evolutionarily. Like when you're kind of falling asleep and you feel like you're about to fall off a tree. Like I'm sure that's the same thing, but with kids and costume characters. My ancestors were afraid of these things, so I must too be afraid.
Yeah, even with the developments and advancements in making the characters look as friendly and nice as possible and with different proportions and all this stuff, like they're as perfectly designed now as they ever can be. we still just have the epigenetic memory of the scarier versions from the 50s. We can't shake that.
Right, we can't. Well, because we had very janky Chuck E. Cheese's everywhere up until just like 3 years ago as well. So, I mean, we're going to have that generational memory for a while now still. The trust is going to be lost. And now Boston Dynamics has like walking around Chuck E. Cheese's, so get ready. It's it's over, baby.
Big jump.
I love that you love the Tinkerbell episode because it's one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites to research. And the fact that I got to chat with like the woman who was Tinkerbell for like 40 years and she loved the video and she's like, I'm going to send it to all my Tinkerbell subscribers. And I'm like, ma'am, you have Tinkerbell subscribers? Sure enough, she's got a website with a newsletter list and stuff. She keeps people up to date on what's up with Tinkerbell. And I think that that's amazing. But I love the history of like, all right, I want Tinkerbell to fly at Disneyland because I went to the Hollywood Bowl and I saw a big trapeze set up and I watched them throw people across hundreds of yards of wire and it works. So let's figure it out. And this woman, this tiny little 7-year-old woman with colon cancer was repeatedly thrown off of the top of the Matterhorn on a steel cable, and she just hit a pad at the end of it, like two guys holding a mattress, and that's just what it was for like 10 years before they did anything else to change it. It's such a wild story.
Hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
It's a weird way to try to cure cancer, but yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, I'm all about them nipples. I love your nipple video.
Thank you.
It's up there.
It was bull. And what really disappoints me about my nipple coverage is how many nipples I left on the table. There were so many nipples that I just didn't cultivate. You know what I mean? There was a nipple buffet, and I only went to like one of the rows, you know? And so I think I have to revisit Disney nipples because there are more nipples. There are more nipples.
Is there a whole side gig Nipstery?
There might
series?
be. Well, no, I feel like that might already be a niche that's pretty well taken care of.
The SEO is bad. I'll give you that.
Yeah. But we got the new live action Little Mermaid. So Javier Bardem nips. We just have to update. The people need to know. The people need coverage. You know what I mean?
Did anybody buy that domain, by the way? JavierBardemNips.com. Can we get redirecting to Dan's channel?
That'd be a hilarious trend that every podcast episode I have to buy a new domain.
We're on the hook. 14.
By the way, Nipstery.com is available, just so we're clear.
Okay, great. I won't be investing.
I'll talk to Tom.
Kevin, your videos are honestly one of the first reasons why I started considering that I could talk about history and have stuff be interesting. And your old videos in particular, and I love going back and rewatching them because it's such a different Kevin than we have today.
You were doing 100%. Distory started before Defunctland.
No, we started right around the same time. I was watching Bright Sun Films, and I was watching you, and I was watching Yesterland. I had my YouTube channel because I had DisneyInfinity.com, and I was making Disney game content. But I remember specifically watching your content, Mark's content, and Bright Sun Films.
Oh, you're right.
Being super, yeah,
you're right. Your first episode of Distory was in July, and mine was in February.
There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
And
well,
I remember my own life correctly. How do you like that?
It's my life too.
It so rarely happens. So I definitely understand you.
It is strange that you did you look at that before?
There's no way.
I guess I thought that you started.
No, I was very much inspired by you. I was very much inspired by you.
That's so nice.
Yeah,
my favorite episode of your. Oh wait, go ahead.
No, I just loved how, particularly you and Bright Sun approached content, especially in your early days, like in a very accessible way that was fun. Like your friends were hanging out talking to you about a thing, and you both evolved into like making big documentaries and big, you specifically have completely just become like a movie maker at this point. You don't make 20-minute YouTube videos anymore, but back in the day, it was just like this very conversational thing. And I realized, I was doing that on my YouTube channel. I was unboxing stuff. I was talking about, events for the video game and whatnot. And I was like, I could talk about theme park costumes. I did a lot of costumes in college and high school. I could talk about this. And it was very fun and loose and friendly, and made me realize, I can definitely make videos about old theme park things, and people will like watching them. So I have to give you a lot of credit, Kev. So thank you.
Wow, thank you. I didn't know that.
Wow.
That's very nice. Yeah. And now I make videos, and the goal is that people watch them and say, I can never do this. And they don't even try. That's the goal. And then I watch and then it takes me 6 months to make 3 minutes of one. Man, I should go back to making chill videos. Well, that was a great pitch. I love he's telling me everything you love about the thing I don't do anymore. But yeah, my favorite.
Well, I think that it's the little version. It's little elementary school Kevin Perjurer, and now you've grown up, and now you're like high school Kevin Perjurer. And now you're going even further, and I feel like that's a compliment. I feel like it's crazy. Jack is the same way. Rob, the same way.
Evolved.
We all grew huge. Yeah, me too. I appreciate that.
I also like your early videos better.
I know you do.
Episode 1 through 10. I'm a big. I love the early videos. I love the early videos where you're like very soft spoken.
Yeah, because I was so tired and anxious.
You don't want to startle anyone.
Right.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Distory. And if you go, I think you should go back and forth between like episode 1 and episode 100 and just look at the waveforms for your 100th episode.
There you go.
Of you being carbon dating a YouTube video.
Hey everyone, it's Dan. It's Distory versus
you
at your desk.
Yeah, I know, right? Screaming like a lunatic. The first
camera.
15, 20 episodes, at least the first 10, were just iMovie slideshows that I had edited first, and then I would sit with a microphone and try to one take get 7 to 8 minutes and, sometimes 10 minutes of just one clean improv. I didn't have a script or anything. I just did all the research. I put it together. I knew in my head what it all was. And then I would just start to read. I didn't even think in my brain because I was just doing it on QuickTime audio recorder, and they had no way to like stop and start. And so when I discovered like Audacity, I was like, whoa, this is wild, man.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. I was
powerful.
so like those first couple episodes were like my 30 or 40th take of me eventually like getting to the point where I had one solid 10-minute audio clip.
But you're grounded down to nothing at that point.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
why
grounded
you're
down to
quiet.
nothing at that point. Right, exactly. And eventually I realized that in iMovie I could do it on like episode 3 or 4, that I could click. There was like a big red button in the middle of iMovie, and I was like, what does this do? So I one day I clicked it, and it started recording my audio. I was like, oh, I could just do it here. And so I would do that. And they were just slideshow presentations. It felt like a public like I was just like trying to do my community college public speaking, thing. And it turned into when I started to hang out with you guys, and you're all like, yeah, I was writing this and I was writing that. I was like, oh, I could write this.
I was going to say, this is like the YouTube equivalent of like, oh yeah, film didn't have sound back in the day, so we just brought in a ragtime piano player and then just sit under the screen and try and work something out that's the same length as the movie. And
Dan actually recorded and edited all of his Distory episodes on VHS and had to play and record using the ancient RCTV recording mechanism.
Dude,
Oh my gosh.
the one take, that's actually kind of incredible. Actually, I can't. That's
Well,
like
you
when
know,
you
I
see.
mean-
That's how they did. That's how Rodriguez did El Mariachi.
sold his blood and
Yes,
did it all in one take.
Dan also sold his blood to fund the first few Distories. Not to a doctor.
he'd send the
Plasma-
check to Apple and they're like, sir, you could just use QuickTime. You don't need to keep paying us for it.
How
And
to
you gave
upload
them the
blood
idea
to
of like
YouTube.
software as a service.
I
My
open up
favorite
my
episode of
PC
Distory,
tower,
for
it's
the
just full
record,
of
is the
dried blood.
autographs. My favorite episode is the autographs episode.
Ooh, I love the autographs episode. I really learned a lot.
I like
from researching that.
Distory episodes that are about, like topics, general topics, rather than I like the ones that are about a specific character, but I'm not a character meet and greet person, so.
No, I definitely like when I chase a topic, and autographs was a really fun one. Balloons was also really fun, and the guy from the balloon video, Treb Henning, he like left a comment. He's like, Dan, most of this is right, some of it's wrong. I'm not, and then he's like, I'm not hard to find. Email me, and that's all he said. And I was like, Trev, first of all, I didn't know you were alive. Second, I got all you did like 12 interviews, man. Everything I said was stuff you told me from your interviews. But now I got to email him. I got to get him on the podcast. The inventor of the balloon arch. And that I think is one of my favorite things about our friendships is that as historians that we look into things and then we end up stumbling into some incredible stories. Like, who knew that the history of Mickey balloons would take me to Cher's son birthday party and the invention of the balloon arch? Now this that people on TikTok they're on TikTok live tying 4 balloons together and stacking them in the way that like this guy invented as a Disneyland park employee. It's so wild to me to see history play out, or like the Buzz Lightyear, like that Kevin and I discovered during the dark days that we don't talk about. We found this incredible Buzz Lightyear story that just has tickled my brain to this very day, and it actually influenced my Elmo episode because right after the great Toy Story shortage was the Tickle Me Elmo shortage the next year, and that's why no one remembers the Buzz Lightyear, and then like Jingle All the Way came out the same year as the Tickle Me Elmo shortage, and everyone's like, oh, it's so crazy, there's a movie about toy shortages. It's Elmo. But I love the stories we all find and then share with each other when we go down rabbit holes.
Oh yeah.
I just like the reference of the Elmo shortage, like it's the 1970s oil crisis or something, I don't know how we got through the Elmo shortage, but we did. We had to ration our toys and everything.
It was wild. They couldn't make those Elmos fast enough. They couldn't do it. So what do you guys think about how YouTube has changed since we all met each other versus like what YouTube is now? I want all your hot takes because we talk about this sometimes as friends, and I think that because, and I only say this because I have 2 kids, YouTubers are like the new TV stars in a lot of ways. You are all weirdly the Discovery channels and the History channels and the Bill Nyes and the whatever that we grew up with. Now you're that for a new generation, us included. And even me, this tiny little niche that gets, X amount of views a month, that's still a lot of people watching the silly stuff that we're making and talking about. And it's so wild, but I feel like now versus when we started making, the idea of becoming a YouTuber is so different than what it was when we became YouTubers.
Yeah.
Does that mean if we're now the new TV, the Discoveries, that TikTok is the new YouTubers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. 100%. Because short form is rotting the brains of the world. We're becoming less and less accustomed to waiting to learn anything, and so now we just need to be spoon-fed information short form.
At the same time, though, Dan, we say that a lot, but long form is now very popular as well. Like having a 3-hour thing or a long play. Like there is this snapback that we're seeing in culture where the rad thing to do is like watch a 4.5 hour niche documentary about
Jenny's
something.
videos, for instance.
Yeah, but it just not even just that stuff, but just atmospherics. It's slow television was a thing in Sweden, and now it's like a thing on the internet.
I know that Kevin and I talk about really long videos, and I know that Jack is interested. Like, Jack's most recent video about Walt Disney smoking, was pushing 40 minutes. But it's honestly what people want. They want more companionship, but like this kind of like this very accessible friend that they can just call up at any point in time that has 8 hours of something to talk to them about, and that's kind of what these videos become, at least for me. Like when I watched Jenny's Star Wars hotel video, it took me, a week and a half to watch it because I would watch it at 20-30 minute clips whenever I was doing the dishes or, whatever, and so it was a nice little long form thing to have. And it's crazy how successful those long videos are compared to the masses that now make these 10-20 minute videos. It's bananas.
I mean, basically YouTube rocks now, and it's never been so good. It's I just keep getting hit with that, and I think it's true.
He's being sarcastic.
No, I'm being serious.
Are you really?
I'm being serious. Just think about
it's the best it's ever been.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm making that's probably got to be an overgeneralization, but because here's the thing: when I say that with canceling out the bad stuff.
Okay.
Which, if again, I
great
think
way to look at things.
Yeah.
I say this by turning a total blind eye to everything terrible that's happening
all
in
the
the world.
good stuff and none of the bad stuff, it's good.
Yeah, then it's
Here's the
perfect.
thing,
Actually,
though. I'm. It's interesting. I'm partially in Jack's corner here, but also recognize.
I'm sure you haven't done anything in a year. It's been great for you.
Yeah, I just consume now.
Well, that's the difference, right? Is it best for the consumer now and worse for the creator?
I don't.
definitely the consumer. It's better.
Yeah, I definitely don't miss the stress of having to think about what YouTube, because here's the thing, there's what you want to make and then there's what YouTube wants you to make. And I mean, at least when I was doing it, granted it was years ago, I noticed that like I fell into a pattern where like if I wasn't putting out something every week, the algorithm punished me, which has to be different for someone like you, Kevin, because you take a long time between your videos, but you put out longer videos. You take a long time. But like it at a certain point I realized like, the algorithm wants me to put out a video every week at a certain length, and like if I stray too far from the sweet spot, it's not happy. And I don't know if it's like that now still, but that was something I never really loved about YouTube.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore in my experience. When we started, it was very much about the schedule, and you didn't want long videos. And now I feel, at least for me, like 20 minutes is like a dead zone as far as like a time, an amount of like runtime. Like that doesn't fit into people's lives in any meaningful way. Just because nothing is 20 minutes for anyone. Versus back in the day when you went on YouTube, you might be going on YouTube and giving it your attention for 40 minutes and then you'd watch 2 videos. But now people want to make less decisions. They want to put something on. It's kind of like, it's no longer TV. It's kind of like, at least what I do and what, other people do, like, Jenny and Harry and the people doing long form stuff. It's more like feature content where people are waiting and the anticipation is building, and you can just focus on one thing because they're going to watch that one thing in full and multiple times versus splitting all your efforts among something every week or 2, which will, it's just different.
100%. I've thrown together a couple compilations of just like groups of characters that go together, groups of things that go together, and posted them. And they have done very well because people, like you said, don't want to make decisions. If they can commit to a 2-hour video that just has a lot of stuff they know they're going to want to listen to or engage with, they will 100% choose that over, and also I think everyone in the world has turned off autoplay on their YouTube because they're exhausted by it. So no one goes, I think about it. I turned it off on every device I have because I don't want, like, I just choose to watch this thing. You don't know me, man. Don't put on something else after that.
No, that's a crazy feature that doesn't exist for our sake. Autoplay. That's not for the consumer.
No, it's not for us.
That's to bump some numbers up. So yeah,
right,
I mean already
that's to get more views.
But But that's one of those things where it's like, if you don't question it, it's like right now, everyone obviously questions that because we were kind of a certain frame of mind. But it's like, does anybody question the fact that like when you start, like you open a YouTube video that it automatically plays? Like no one questions that. We were just raised on that. We're like, oh yeah, well it just starts playing automatically.
Yeah.
So if you just let them go with the other thing, they'll just, oh yeah, well you just open a video and then it starts playing videos for the rest of the day. That's just the way it happens.
My life hack for that is if you open a new tab with the video, but you don't click on the tab, it won't start until you tab over. So that's my middle. You middle click.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You kidding? I'm using a different mouse right now because my last one broke.
Right click and select on the drop down menu.
Open new thing. I don't have a middle click. I have a trackpad. I have a magic pad, so I don't have a middle clicker. I just use my fingers.
Wow. Oh.
This guy's
that's
in
got
the Apple family.
Like 2 fingers is like
there's
got to be a
middle click.
Yeah, there's got to be a middle click. Dan just doesn't know.
What is a middle click?
It's the scroll wheel click on a traditional mouse. But
this is what I'm saying,
I haven't
man.
used a traditional mouse. I've always had a laptop. I've always used a trackpad.
Dan,
what?
They took the middle click
fingers
from
and
you.
You hit it down.
And now you don't even know what it is. They took it from you. We used to have mouses with middle clicks, and now it's gone. And now it's gone.
He's like Apple's like Sauron. It steals things from me. I don't even realize.
You don't even miss it. It's crazy.
I'm a right click new tab. It's just
actually, you need a third-party app. It looks like.
Apple. Yeah, what does Apple got against the middle click?
I need a third-party app to middle click my pad.
Yeah, it's a Chrome extension or something too. This is crazy.
Dan, you know there are mice out there with like 5 extra buttons on it too. There's left, right, middle, and then there's some with 3 more clicks on there you could do.
Ergonomic extra mouses.
Yeah, when and it's so funny, I had to change your lower third because it was still my name and information from the last time I was at your place, Rob. But being at your place, your mouse has clickers and whizzers and stuff. And I don't game on a computer though. I game like a normal human with a remote control in my hand.
Dan, you're confused. That was just a fidget spinner. That
wasn't a collection of those.
Yeah, I don't do like that. I don't ASWD, you know?
Dan, I'm curious. I watch all of my YouTube. I would say not all. 90% of my YouTube content is in the living room on my television. Where do you feel like, as a group, where do you guys feel like you watch the most YouTube? What device is preferred?
I watch it a lot on my TV, but also my phone. Because I have YouTube Premium, shout out. I don't live a life of commercials. So I could watch music videos and long podcasts or like vibey, I have like a thunderstorm playing or something, like one of those 10-hour YouTube videos. I have one of those playing 24/7 more or less. It's always going on either on my phone in my headphones or on the TV. So, but phone and TV is for me. Mostly TV though. But maybe not. Maybe 50-50.
Yeah. I'm all over the place. I mean, I have a boring normal job now, so a lot of the time it's on the phone in a little stand in front of my computer monitor while I'm working or doing the dishes or whatever. A little bit on the television, to the point where we caved and we got premium a couple of months ago. But what's interesting is I watch very different content, depending on whether I'm on the phone or on the TV. Like I don't watch TV YouTube on the phone and vice versa. It's all split.
What does that mean?
So if I'm watching like more informational stuff, I'll probably watch that on my phone. That's probably while I'm at my desk or on the computer or doing the dishes. Whereas
how to change a light bulb, you mean?
No, like history videos, something educational. Whereas the stuff that is watched on the television is usually more travel related. So I'm one of those weirdos who will watch a 30-minute video of somebody on a train and their whole experience on a train or flying business class or whatever, and they don't speak a single word, and they just show you what you like, all the things you get when you fly first class. I watch a lot of that stuff, but that's on TV. On the phone is when I'm watching stuff where I'm like paying attention to it and like ingesting something new.
I think this answers my sort of hypothesis, which is, you know, if we go all the way back to Marshall McLuhan in his work on how we consume media, if the medium is the message, I think possibly the way we watch videos on YouTube depends on what media or what we're using at the time. And I think you're absolutely right, Rob. I think that longer play videos tend to be sit down couch stuff, and shorter, more breezy stuff maybe is sort of on the road, as it were. Interesting.
Dude, yeah, it's weird because it's like the whole perception of YouTube as a website kind of changes based on when you like started. I noticed this recently because like you have every different generation of people on YouTube now. You got the people who started post-pandemic, all those like people like, hey, I can't go outside, what's going on the internet, like all of them. And then even I remember when YouTube started in 2007 people, it's like this is probably one of the more interesting times as far as the platform will be concerned. But it's like I didn't start watching YouTube on a phone or a TV until like 2 years ago. So you know what I mean? Like even just that perception and understanding of this platform is fundamentally different than someone like 3 years ago. Oh, I got the YouTube app on my TV, and then discovering anybody even in here on TV as opposed to just on a website, which is like how I'm looking at it.
YouTube
you know
was such a website for a long time, and now like the streaming boom has turned it into everyone has an app on every device has apps.
Yeah. Or on
and
TV.
Now YouTube is one of them. Yeah,
Mom, look, I'm on TV.
Right. Mom, look, I'm on my kid's Nintendo Switch. Like you get YouTube on your Nintendo Switch for now, for crying out loud. Like imagine watching Nickelodeon on your Game Boy in the back of your mom's car, you know, but like now you can do that, you know.
That sounds like the coolest thing you've ever said, Dan.
I know, right? Now cars have Wi-Fi built into them, which is crazy to me. It's like an airplane for toddlers, you know. Everyone's got to have Wi-Fi everywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
When we first started, though, it was so funny because the conversation was all about like a video over 10 minutes, having you know, the 8 minutes. Oh, now it can be 8 minutes with an ad break. Oh, make sure that you space out, you know, like it was such a game about everything being as tight as possible. But now, like Kevin said, it is like like it's make them long. Make it long. But there's an argument, and maybe Kevin, because I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but like there's a big argument against that people everyone's just wasting time now with these 8-hour videos. Do you think that it's a waste of time to have an 8-hour, 9-hour video with a bunch of information in it? Because I'm sure you can get a lot of that information condensed, right? Is it a waste of time? I don't think it is if it's answering someone's need, you know?
Well, how do I say this without being derogatory toward the idea of a podcast? like digital litter,
right?
Podcasts are far more pressing digital litter items than 8-hour videos. Like
easily,
you don't like. There's just so much podcasting and so many video podcasting. Hours and hours of video podcasting, and so I view these 8-hour videos, they're kind of like podcasting with media and editing and writing. And so I don't know, I think people get really, I do think there's a certain genre of specifically people rambling on purpose to fill time, and that's not my thing. I don't like that. I don't watch those. But to me, and I know I'm on a podcast, but I love this podcast.
And you have a podcast.
Yeah, do I though, Jack?
You do. You tweet about it.
Technically, yes,
but if you listen to that podcast, it's the least podcasty podcast. It's my protest against podcasts.
Kevin, you're like the 8th person I've ever heard say my podcast is the least podcasty podcast.
Yeah, I've heard people say that. I'd llove to see these podcasts.
These alleged podcasts.
Unless I listen to it in its ambient sounds.
My podcast is just me talking to crickets. It's unlike anything you've ever heard.
Yeah,
revolutionary.
But I don't know. I'm much more of a podcast skeptic than an 8-hour video skeptic, I guess, just because I'm
There's
like,
a little more production.
You say that.
Yeah.
Because I think that podcasts are what ultimately stretched everyone's attention span in a big way. Because podcasts for a while were, it's 15 minutes. Oh, now we're doing 30-minute podcasts. Oh, now we're doing hour podcasts. Oh, now there are 3-hour podcasts. And it just kept, and people kept showing up because they had this thing to consistently return to. And to your point, I think that, we have to, people want a thing that they can return to repeatedly and have the same voice and tone, because they're used to consuming 12 hours of content a month from one creator for their 2-hour podcast, 3-hour podcast that they're putting out 4 times a month. Like you're right. Podcasts are just as much litter as long form. And if anything, podcasts are responsible, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I also think it's the change in the way people, like, podcasts don't ask anything of you in the same way that other video media does, but it's still like visual, like you're not going to get like burn-in on the screen if you have so like that. I think just like I'm not a good example. Like, I don't listen to all the, I know Jack is a big fan of the comedian podcasts.
Yeah, me
like
too. I enjoy him.
Isn't that right, Jack?
Of course.
Jack loves
Simple yes.
What was that? Wait, what was that moment? What was that? Are you Jack's lawyer? I don't mean to speak for Jack. Jack, can you confirm for a moment?
Also,
Is it
Jack loves.
Can we get you on record, Jack?
Jack loves those podcasts, but the podcast, I think those video podcasts and just the long form videos just introduce this idea of like, you don't need to pause this ever. Like, you don't, like,
you
if
can
you
walk
miss
away and come back and
something,
it's okay.
Don't worry, you're doing something more important than what's on the screen. And like the amount of like effort per minute in your life is matched by the effort per minute of this content. I know that's.
Do you think that echoes?
Is that derogatory? Is that mean?
No, I don't think so at all.
Like,
do you think that I completely agree with podcasts? Do you think that is also sort of the same energy of an 8-hour video or a 9-hour video, that you can get up and go to the bathroom and come back and not worry about necessarily pausing it? Yeah,
the effort
it becomes background noise. It becomes ambient. It becomes like it fills your home with something. And
I mean, it's
some
radio.
people,
It's radio.
Right. It's radio.
I mean,
It's
it's talk radio.
Radio you can watch.
Yeah.
And I think the 8-hour podcast, the 8-hour content, I mean, same with podcasts, I guess same with radio, is just, you will not, I mean, this isn't true for all the 8-hour stuff, I shouldn't say that about them, but I can pretty much say this about podcasts, except for mine, which is different and special and unique, and beautiful. I'm the only one that has one. But in general, if you, like, in my opinion, you meet the content or film or whatever can either come to you or you can go to it. But like with that, like if you want to get something more out of that type of stuff, like, you're out of luck. Like, you're going to find yourself at a wall realizing that this is a very shallow pool of what you can really dig into. I mean, that's the truth for, like, episode 5,000 of this podcast and the third appearance of this comedian on this. It's like, all right, like, it's a great thing to put on, but if you're like, I'm really going to dig into this piece of media, it's like, yeah, good luck.
Right.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, I'm putting my phone away, and I wanted to get the whole story
on air and just hanging out and like.
Right, it is more of a vibe than educate. Oh, back to what Rob was saying about, where, what, and how he consumes and the choices he makes. He likes hanging out in a train with a stranger.
Yeah,
on YouTube
and in real life. But I was going to say, I think Nathan nailed it with the radio analogy. The main difference that I guess would add that like digital litter like label is the fact that now it's just a medium where everything gets saved. Because I never would have thought of like the morning radio show as litter, because the next morning it would be a different show, and that was it. There was just never heard that other one ever again. And now
I missed Dr. Jaboink's radio hour at 5 a.m. today. I have to go watch it because
what's
Dr.
going on,
Jaboink...
Cincinnati? It's Dr. Jaboink's. I hope everyone's having a good morning.
Now imagine I save that in 4K every morning and I upload it.
I got to go back to Dr. Jaboink's January 31st episode.
Exactly. I can't watch the February 1st episode. I didn't see the January 31st episode.
Right. I
Maybe
gotta
there's
know
a
what
sound
Dr.
effect
Jaboik's
on the
did
board.
for New Year's Eve. I gotta know what Dr. Jaboik's up to.
I haven't seen him do a Family Guy prank call in several days. I'm sure it's coming up.
I mean, I think that's sort of the I don't know, the more Mr. Beastie side of YouTube, whereas I think a lot of it too, him's kind of close to conservative talk radio of the 80s and 90s. I think this idea that you have these videos that are 3 hours long of people just talking, I mean, Joe Rogan's really not any different than say what Rush Limbaugh was doing in the 80s. It's just now always there, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you get these people who are like, oh, we're, cancel culture, we're canceling people. Look at all these things these people said. People were saying all this kind of stuff on radio. It just disappeared milliseconds after it was said, and there's no record of any of it. And I think that is
Dr. Jaboik's got some hot takes, and no one's gonna remember them.
100%. Jaboink is canceled now. You can't Jaboink anymore.
Oh yeah, Jaboik's dead. Dr.
Yeah.
Jaboik's dead.
I mean, he used to be able to just kind of repeat the same talking points year over year, but ever since they started saving it every morning and uploading it, now all of a sudden they're making
Dr.
compilations.
Jaboik's has
how
10
lazy he is.
episodes that he just loops through.
Yeah, man.
Right. Oh man, I miss radio. But I guess
still
like
there.
we just discovered, it's still there. Yeah.
Still there. As someone on it, it's still there.
It's so interesting that we're talking about like that hyper negative sort of spin on things, because I feel like that more than anything has overtaken like every niche now. Like you can't have a niche YouTube content or really anywhere, be it knitting or theme parks or whatever. Now there are going to be people who have kind of like crawled into that to be reactionary and be the Rush Limbaugh of, to be the InfoWars of your niche. And I feels like now more than ever, the idea of, at least in my opinion, how YouTube has really changed is now you're not talking about Disney in a nostalgic, historic, like remember when kind of way. The content that really is doing well now is, oh, Disney is awful, Disney's letting you down, Disney is a disappointment, and here's every way in which Disney is making sure that you don't feel seen as a cis white male. I don't know, it's so weird.
Some of that,
it's
yeah.
Disney's just like your wife. It doesn't appreciate you. It doesn't understand how smart and special you are.
You
doesn't
need to
understand you
leave.
have such good
Leave and
ideas
go to
for what should
Universal.
go in Stitch's Great Escape. Your
getting
ideas
red
are
pilled
so
by Disney
good.
parks.
They should hire me. They should hire you. That's me.
Right,
and my,
Yellow Shoes, call me.
They're putting they're putting chemicals in the rivers of adventure water, rivers of America
To dry
water.
it up. They're trying to
dry it up.
something.
They're trying to put chemicals in
the
the
gay
water.
alligators.
It's
Turn all the
the-
alligators gay.
All the
So
fireworks
stop
have
beating your
chemtrails.
kids.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
They got rid of the
that's-
national
that's-
anthem of Disney World.
That's the truth. Fireworks definitely do have chemtrails. I mean, like, depending on where the wind's blowing on a firework day, you're inhaling stuff, guys.
Pretty much everything has chemtrails.
Yeah, everything's got chemtrails.
Can we clip that? Can we clip that?
Yeah, it's a separate
show.
I mean, if we want to have
That
a
was a-
successful video, yeah.
That's like the most earnest
Do theme
I've
parks
been
have
as well.
chemtrails?
Just like really upbeat. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. How long do you think the hyper negative thing is going to last in terms of the trend before it swings back into, we miss this, like we miss the good old days. Let's think about and talk about the good old days, because I'm sure it's going to come back around. I'm not worried about that. I'm just curious.
Dan, can I have a
because
clarification? Are you talking specifically about theme parks, or are you talking about YouTube in general?
I'm talking about, I guess, theme parks and our niche, but maybe YouTube's in general. Like the idea of media being nostalgic again versus critical, because I feel like it's that swing, like, and we're over here now in the critical side of things.
I wonder if the critical side of things happens because, like, and this is something I've thought about for a while, and I'm kind of curious what everyone's going to think about this, but I wonder if, like the rise of like Disney vloggers who are going there every other day and they're reviewing every new thing, like you invest so much of your time into a place, and you're going to start to see every crack and every blemish, and then I assume that's where the negativity starts to come from, because you can see what you can't otherwise when you're going on a once a year vacation. And so I wonder if it swings back at a point where maybe we oversaturate with the day-to-day coverage of these places. That goes away, and it goes back to like, yeah, I'm going on my annual Disney trip, and then you don't have time to look for every flaw, and then it becomes more, I love this place, and positive and upbeat. And then that creates more people doing it, and it becomes this cycle of like, all right, yeah, wouldn't it be great to do this every single day? And then, swings back down.
Then we're back. Yeah, I mean, people are just like brutally overexposed to the parks in general. And then that just creates the opening for then wanting to pick them apart, or you drinking the Kool-Aid in the sense where you're like expecting them to be somehow operating better than any theme park would in that condition because, oh, it's Disney. You know what I mean? Like something like that.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because back in the day, getting access to the theme parks was like whatever yearly special was put on. Is it going to be an Easter one? Is it going to be a 4th of July one? A Christmas one? A Thanksgiving one? It was almost like the parade in New York, the Macy's parade. Like it comes once a year, and then other than your vacation, you got like teased with this like tantalizing perfect view of New York and the parade. And when you get to New York, it is not New York. It's not the parade New York that you saw on TV. It's a very different place. And I feel like now, if we were to be watching a vlog of the Thanksgiving Day parade every single day, we would all eventually be like watching videos about how much we hate the parade. You know what I mean? And how much we hate the balloons.
Screw Tom Turkey.
We hate Santa at the end. You know what I mean? And we hate the news announcers.
Yeah, cut to the parade that's happening right this second at Magic Kingdom, and will happen tomorrow at the exact same time.
Yeah,
and the same people will be there to see it, of course, as well.
I mean, I think this connects a little bit with my experience working on I don't even want to call it journalism, but working at WWNT for a hot second.
Whoa, hold on a second.
First off and foremost, I love the way you started describing that. That's going to be our spicy clip for the week. Shots fired on fun.
There are wonderful reporters. I mean, you can be a wonderful theme park reporter, but if your editor is terrible and will only release certain things, there's only so much you can do. And when theme park journalism first started noticing, for example, we would have these moments where it'd be like, this wall is peeled or whatever. And there would be sometimes discussions about, this isn't an article, we don't need to talk about this. They'll fix it tomorrow. What's the point? And what we were told by certain individuals is it doesn't matter. It is what is happening today. And so we must showcase it. Even though it's non-news, it's not actually anything because it can be fixed tomorrow. It's more interesting if a month from now it's still there. You can keep an eye on it. But then it became, okay, well, make sure every time you go, you take a picture of that thing and we'll put it on social media. It's still here. It's still here. We'll be the advocates. We'll be the watchdogs against Bob Chapek and his company. But it's unnecessary. And I think that new media looks to old media as much as website news is old media, but looks to it for its direction. How do we do this thing? What do we do? And that nitpicking, I think, started with journalist news theme park websites. And then it sort of trickled down as, oh yeah, this is something that should be covered. This is an advocacy thing, or this is a way of dealing with it. And then YouTube or other social media now, let's go see if is the thing still broken, right? And like, I think we really got to check ourselves when we're watching or creating content that's like, today on the show, we're going to go and see if the chimpanzee in Living with the Land still doesn't move its head. Like that's an entire live video,
Right.
I mean, it's just the sliding scale of importance, and I think of scale period, that makes that stuff, whether or not it's valid to talk about it, or like if there's a point in talking about it where I'm not going to like make fun of you for being ridiculous, where it's like, yes, it is interesting that the chimpanzee is broken, or that like, Stitch is closed and what's going on with that, all stuff like that, because it is such a huge scale. But yeah, basic maintenance stuff, like, dude, why do you even care, bro? Like, it's always my feeling, like, if it wasn't sold to you, some understanding of, well, it's got to be perfect, it has to be, like, all that, they're so detail oriented, you would just be like, yeah, this is a gigantic theme park. It's probably really hard to make sure that all the light bulbs are working at any given second. It's like, it probably just burnt out 5 minutes ago, dude. Like, this is with them trying. Truly. It's hard. Like, so.
Yeah, it's kind of fun because we had a conversation for a while. Justin Martin was in charge of show quality at Universal, right?
Yes. With this Universal Hollywood, and this episode should be coming out in maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so we have a super fun conversation about that very thing. Like, what is it like to be the guy in charge of making sure all the light bulbs are on? And, like, then how does it, like, get executed? Because for a while there, Tom was waving, I'll say his name, it's not Voldemort. Tom was waving that flag of, like...
he's like three Voldemorts put together. Right?
He was waving that flag of, like, Brer Bear didn't have a tail on his butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, when that tail finally got installed, it was like, we like hung the banner like George Bush on the aircraft carrier.
Every time.
We did it. And talking to Justin, it's so fascinating because it's like, yeah, okay, someone has to put in the request that the tail's missing, but the 8 guys that we have to fix it have 7 other orders that have been opened up since the beginning of the year. They have to finish painting these 7 things. It's just not. And then once they get to this point, then they have to figure out what the tail looks like and order a new one, and then that'll take 6 months to get in. So it like becomes this like dog chasing its tail to fix this stuff, and it evolves beyond that. It becomes like this. I feel like specifically there's a lot of YouTubers now that just take the basic workings of how a business grows and changes and just turns it into an example of a negative, like it's just negative. It's just negative. It's just negative.
And
it's just negative.
If you're not going to frame any of it, like, I can almost understand if you can find news like that of, the tail's not there, and you can frame it in a fun, entertaining way, then people watching it are going to hopefully be entertained and have fun. But when you can't frame it that way because it is something as mundane as this light is broken, then all that leaves is a vacuum for viewers to feel, I guess, frustrated or upset or annoyed or something. Yeah. And it's just like, it's at the end of the day, there is an element of like, it is you're trying to put out news, but you're also trying to entertain people. And if you forget that second part of it, then they're not going to feel entertained and they're going to fill that space with something else. And it's going to be sometimes a negative emotion. And
yeah, but Rob, people now want to be entertained by getting riled up. Like, people almost have this sort of anxious attachment.
I wouldn't say now. Conservative
conservative
talk radio has been around for a long time.
I guess I'm just talking about, like, in our journey of making content. For like, now the theme park content is they need some kind of adversarial force in their life. They need something to, like, direct their negativity at, because God forbid they hold a mirror to themselves, I don't know what it is. I'm not your therapist, but to say that it's just this hyperfixation on like bad. And it's so funny because I think it feels like, weirdly, that's what a lot of our content was, but I guess it was like all hindsight. It was all looking back. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why everyone loves Defunctland's, like, string of Michael Eisner videos is because Eisner is just like a hot mess, and Kevin let us all know, and we didn't know. we didn't know, but it was all hindsight. It's not like this thing where Kevin's chasing Iger's tail and, like, reporting on everything that's happening now, because you don't have the full story in the present. You just no one has the full story. That's
the value. Is Kevin's video is, here's why that happened the way it did, good or bad, rather than just,
why did it close?
Superstar limo sucks. It's, here's why this was made, and here are the mistakes and the learning from history. That's the key difference, and that's what makes it entertaining, which is what you don't get with the current stuff of, why does Brer Rabbit not have a tail? Give me the story behind where the tail went, and it suddenly becomes entertaining.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Disney stuff specifically, as far as that goes, is like the perfect intersection of, Because getting mad at something and having righteous anger at anything is like tons of fun, and everyone knows that, and you see it online all the time, right? But
yeah, the French Revolution really popularized it.
Yeah, but this isn't for. But with Disney, it's so great because it's not for anything with stakes. It's not for anything that's actually like matters. It's not politics. It's not anything. It's just Disney World, so it's fine and it's fun to talk about because you're talking about rides and all characters and all this great stuff. So it just works out great. You know, it's inconsequential. You never get in trouble for screaming about the CEO of a company, but at the same time, it's also Disney. It's this American institution almost. So, well, of course we have to hold them to this standard. So it just works out where it's like making fun of Disney is the best, most fun thing to do.
This coming from a guy whose YouTube channel is called Theme Park Shouldn't Exist. So, I mean, everyone take that with a grain of salt.
I would say, though, the difference is the just the nuance in we're glad they do exist, though. Like, even the self-awareness to acknowledge this instead of just falling victim to the self-righteous anger of, well, Magic Kingdom needs to be, like, it's a travesty that it's not operating perfectly. Like, I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've gathered you all here today to pitch you my idea about capturing lightning into batteries.
Jeez. That's my least favorite thing.
Coming 2025.
It's like 8 years of this.
I know.
Well, listen, I told you all about OLEDs, and you're like, Dan, OLEDs aren't cool.
Oh my gosh, Dan thinks
and now
he's
you
the
all have
preacher of
OLEDs.
Dan invented OLEDs.
And then I told you all about YouTube Premium, and then you're all like, guys, you're like, Dan, YouTube Premium's
you didn't tell
for
me
fools.
about YouTube Premium.
You guys are like, YouTube Premium is for fools, and now look who all has YouTube Premium. And so all I'm saying is my number 3 big idea is we're just going to capture lightning bolts and use them to charge batteries. It's not a crazy thing. Florida gets hit with thousands of lightning bolts, and every time we got to close Test Track? No. We got to close the pools and resorts? No. Let lightning hit the pools. We have batteries to charge.
Are you suggesting that Test Track should go faster if hit by lightning?
Yeah, that's like a bonus perk.
Is it
Like
a bonus?
man, everyone gets excited about getting on a ride that breaks down. Imagine being on a ride that got hit by lightning, and so it went faster. It is people would be lined up. People would be lined up.
I did Spaceship Earth in like 2 minutes. It just
almost fell out when it turned around.
Yeah. And if you pitch it like to the Christian right, that God is choosing which rides are cool, I think that people will show up, man. I think.
So we call this is when a ride breaks up. Is something bad happens, but it gets more entertaining as a result. You don't leave. You just experience a potentially dangerous but way more entertaining version of a ride.
No, man, it's not dangerous. Like we'll have bolts,
Carousel of Progress turns into the Gravitron at the State Fair.
No. Well, I mean, if you get lucky and the lightning bolt hits while the theater's moving, that's your own divine blessing. But usually, the theater will just get hit and the robots will start going faster.
I mean, dude, I think there are attractions that already utilize this technology. I mean, like, for instance, Fast and Furious Supercharged, of course, already. I think the ride will become supercharged.
Can only be better when something goes wrong.
After a strike.
Oh,
I mean, the faster you can get through that ride, the better, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I agree. That does,
The bus goes from 3 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So as an esteemed group of theme park experts, what do you think is going to happen with Marvel Land at Universal? Is it going away? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't think anything's ever going to happen with that land ever, because nothing has ever happened with it before. It's one of those things now.
That's not true, because they rebuilt Hulk 16 years after it opened. They retracked the whole thing. They had to take it all down, put it all back together with new track and stuff. And I think that is something that's going to be tricky now. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I almost wonder they're at a place now where a lot of the rides are going to have to be maintenanced, and that involves approval. That involves like cooperation. That involves like, a whole process. So I'm interested in it, because I have to wonder, all the theme parks make money with their merch and food sales, don't they? And all that money is a chunk of it's going back to Disney with Marvel licensing. Just because Universal owns it doesn't mean Marvel's not getting the money from it.
Yeah,
like if they're getting a slice. And so at a certain point, Universal's got to look at that and be like, oh, we could put something here that gives us our big slice back. Like it's a value. It's the entrance land to their premiere. Or Islands of Adventure is so much better than Universal Studios. Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
Don't
I mean
they?
that makes some sense. But here's my thinking. Here's my thinking as far
I
as
thought this was
Universal.
about YouTube. I thought we were going to talk about our experience on YouTube.
Well, we're theme park experts, so I just wanted to get a hot take from you guys on a theme park thing.
Why?
You know?
Why Universal?
I hate Universal. It sucks.
Because it's a question about Disney too. It was like an all
okay.
theme park question.
I love
you know?
Universal. I actually do. I just want to bring something up as far as Universal goes. You're thinking of Universal like it's Disney, where all this stuff is built in. You need to just imagine that all those roller coasters, you just cut those out. Like, just switch out the land. Like in Photoshop, you get like select inverse. Do that with the land, basically, is what can end up happening. And the fact that hasn't happened, it's only the stuff that you have to maintain and things like that. I mean, if that were to happen, like, there's not a world where the Hulk doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, that roller coaster's staying there, even if Marvel's gone completely.
Yeah. Well, Spider-Man is the best theme park ride of all time because people keep telling me it is. And making videos about it. And when I go on it, I say, they're right. This is. Because this is it. Every time I ride it, I'm like, this is the pinnacle. 2001. Nothing else. Nothing's better since, 1999? When did that open?
Is Spider-Man better than Rise of the Resistance?
No.
From a narrative perspective or a technical
From any perspective. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Fully operating?
I paid
Everyone
my
says
money.
Spider-Man's the best theme park ride ever.
Who?
I don't like screens.
Kevin just said it.
That's like the most, like, that's like the second take they give you when you become a theme park video essayist.
You don't like
like
screens?
No, just the second take is, Spider-Man at IOA is the limit.
Oh,
Like, that's the peak.
What's the
That's like
first
de
take?
facto.
Oh my gosh, I know. I was
Do
trying
we need
to
to
think
fix
of
the
one.
Yeti?
No, like what Jack, help me out. What's like the first take that you get as a theme park video essayist?
Well,
Like
it's
the
definitely
that you think is like that you have to have.
Well,
Walt wasn't actually anti-Semitic. That's the first take you have to get.
No.
It's definitely something to do with Epcot. I mean, obviously, if you're going to be going on that road,
Yeah.
It's what Epcot actually stands for, because no
just
one
the
remembers.
entirety of Epcot.
It's that they destroyed Epcot is your first take.
Basically,
Right,
yeah.
yeah,
Or the
yeah.
original Epcot would have been perfect, and
Yes,
we did it dirty with the decision in the 80s.
And then your second
80s.
one is that Spider-Man at IOA is really good.
It's so good you don't go on it ever.
Oh no, guys! You guys, no, the first.
It's like the furniture in the front room. You
It
put the
is
cover
good.
over it. You
I
don't
do
sit
like
in there.
it.
That's
It's
just
just-
there to be there.
You guys got it all wrong. The first thing you learn as a video essayist is that there's a basketball hoop in the Matterhorn. Everyone knows that.
That's on
Everyone
iFunny. That's on iFunny. You learn that on iFunny.
The normies know that one.
The normies know that
everyone
one.
does that.
Did you know
Everyone does
the
that.
castle you could take it apart in a hurricane? Take it down. What else? No, there's.
I'm gonna go
so,
on Fiverr and get someone to like 3D render them taking it apart, and I'm just gonna dress like a weatherman with a hard hat on.
I feel like the first one you
Green
get
screen
is
myself.
like a defunct adjacent. If you're doing like history, is like, did you know there was a bra shop in Disney? In Disneyland? Oh my god, guys! I just found this. It's like 2024, and I just found this.
Did you know they sold
away.
magic mushrooms in the cigar shop at Disneyland?
What's the deal? What's the deal with the Main Street?
Truth
You know-
is stranger than fiction.
Did you know that Walt used to kidnap entire Native American tribes and make them work at Disneyland? That's what
Could
it
be
feels
true.
like.
You never know. You don't
Yeah.
want to know. Don't look.
You don't want to know. I appreciate you guys being my YouTube friends for all
Heck
of
yeah,
this.
man.
Yeah.
It's been really fun. It's been a wild ride. And Charity Land honestly has to be one of my favorite things that we do. And I love that we have raised, it's kind of crazy how much money the four of us have raised for Give Kids the World. And can we just talk for a minute about the rise of Charityland? Because the first one we did was the green screen one, right? Where we were all in chairs.
No.
No.
Nope.
What?
Dan.
That was like that was the fourth
webcam
or
one.
third one.
Yeah, the first
Wow.
one was
What
you
was
guys
the
were on
first one we
webcam.
did?
The first one was
Yeah.
like this. It was all virtual.
Yeah, it was like the
Really?
theme park Tube Awards is what it was kind of formatted like.
No, that was
Oh.
a different thing.
Yeah, I just watched that actually. That was so funny. I just found it randomly on my channel.
That was
The theme park
gave
Tube
it-
Awards were not Charityland. That was a different event.
a separate production. You don't get it. You don't get it twisted.
The
Okay,
first
good.
one
Well,
was
Jack's
just like
just
a
as confused
variety
as me.
show.
No, I just
Okay.
meant as far
Yeah,
as
the first one
faces
was
on a screen.
with interviews, and it was the
A
first
lot
one
of
was all
pre-recorded
virtual.
clips. A lot of pre-recorded
Oh, yeah,
segments.
we
I
had
don't think the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had
Was
all
it?
those. Everyone could send in pre-recorded messages, and we made big blocks of content.
I mean,
Now I'm
there's still
starting to
plenty of
remember.
live bits. The only reason I remember that is because when we did that, I was in Tampa at my family's house and had terrible internet. So the entire Charityland, I was tethered to my phone, paying for additional data because at this point it wasn't unlimited data. And so I was just every time going like, man, I wonder how long this is. And it was only like, what, it was like 6 hours?
Rob was on a cruise ship
Yeah, I guess we
paying
had
for
some.
the internet package.
The second year was at
At Give Kids the World with the secondary location with the company move.
The company move.
We
Yeah, the
have to
company
talk. I don't
move
think
was a
we've
bad
ever
idea.
talked about that publicly, and it's one of the funniest things we've ever done. Which is
That was the dumbest thing we've ever done.
well, I think it
was a nice
ultimately was.
idea.
It was a great idea. It was a great idea. But we started outside. We're like, let's start outside. Let's start like on the sidewalk. It's a beautiful day. The sunset will be perfect, and then we'll move indoors to like their big indoor space. And it'll only take half an hour, right? Like we can move the entire thing in half an hour. What a disaster! Was it the internet guys that couldn't get it together? What was it?
It
'Cause
wasn't- it
I
wasn't
was
all our
streaming,
fault.
walking around outside for like an hour.
Yeah, it was. That was not.
What happened?
I remember you coming in, Dan, and you were not happy because you
I
were
was just exhausted.
you were
wait a
stalling,
minute.
and you were.
Oh, my
you were
God.
Like, you're like, what is going on? But yeah, no, the internet at Give Kids the World like worked outside, and then it didn't work inside, and then it was a whole thing. And then some people weren't there on time, and other people were there early, and yeah, that was not good.
And-
We showed up 12 hours early. They mixed up AM PM and showed up 12 hours
Right.
Oh
early.
yeah, somebody showed up 12 hours early because
I forgot
Rob
about
told
that.
them to come up at like 8
Yeah. And they thought it
or
was
something,
8 a.m.
and they assumed it was 8 a.m. instead of 8 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
I'd also like to point it out. I just looked it up on Google Maps. Our company move was approximately like 110 feet. That's how far we went.
It wasn't fun. You could
Set
see it
one
from
was
the room.
outside of that like mushroom building, and then set 2 was 100 feet away indoors.
That's why I thought we could. That's why I thought we could do it.
Like there was a window and a couple like 10 yards. Like it was nothing.
You could
I was
see
so
the
easy.
second
so
location
surprised
from
we
the
couldn't pull
first.
it off because it felt so feasible.
Yeah.
Well, we did pull
wasn't,
it
though.
off.
I mean,
Make
we
no
did.
mistake.
We moved. So.
Yeah.
And it's funny because if you look at the group photo of like all the people that participated that year, it's like the picture of the kids in Back to the Future. Like everyone's just people have just faded away from making content or being in the community for various reasons, most of them being canceled. So it was a real wild ride that year. Oh my goodness. What a time. And what was the third? So the third year was
Third
the
year
green
was the one that
screen.
you thought was the first year. Which
Yeah,
was,
that's-
The pandemic year.
Yeah.
That tracks. That
That
was a fun
pandemic.
one though with the parade.
fourth.
And what did we do
year,
the fourth year?
no,
The 24 hours.
24 hours. Oh yeah, yeah.
Never
sorry.
again.
Now I'm forgetting.
Sorry.
Which
Fun,
was
never again.
Which was one of the greatest bits of chaos that's ever happened. Well, also never
one
again,
was-
but
That one was
you know it was
awful.
fun. But
That was
Kevin
probably my favorites. I like that
Kevin
one a
dipped
lot.
like 90 minutes before the end to go make a beef Wellington.
Yeah. Yeah.
so he could roll out on screen.
I just had to put it in the oven.
So he could roll out on screen with the beef. It was good though. At the end, it was really good.
It was fun.
Yeah.
The 24-hour part was the rough part. The rest of it was fun. It was just, I remember waking up after like an hour nap, and I feel like that was the first time I really started to feel old, where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I feel terrible.
Oh, Kevin, you're the reason why Rob left YouTube
for 8 more hours.
Yeah, I'm not the reason. He was already gone by that point, or you were close to it.
I had 1 foot out the door.
Yeah, 1 foot out the door for sure. Yeah.
And then we didn't do anything the year after that, and then the year after that was cooking.
Yeah, cooking, and I wasn't there, but it was great. I watched a good chunk of it, and it was super fun. And are we going to do it again this year?
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We might do it.
No commitments. No commitments from Kevin, who has apparently given up on charity work. So
Dan,
No pressure. There's no money in charity work.
It's a lot harder to do it when there's like a financial strain among so many people.
It is, yeah, it is a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's actually the first year we did it. It was also like a mini recession, and that was a big conversation we had where it's just like it's hard to ask people as you know, as content creators, especially when you know they're like just struggling. You know, the world is struggling. It feels like it's kind of crazy.
But also, it does take so much effort that it would be good to condense effort. But we'll see. Maybe I'll figure out a way to do it easy. I've never been able to figure out a way to do it easy, but maybe there's a way to do it.
You're like a true psychopath. Your KitchenAid mixer also broke 45 minutes into an 8-hour stream for cooking.
And then Dan's like, "Yeah, it's real easy. You just have to replace the gear." And then it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not. As someone who has done it, it's not easy.
I'm probably gonna like start doing like one of those Twitter campaigns, like when somebody does like, you know, when like a mid-tier YouTuber doesn't get like like their flight gets canceled and then they go on Twitter. Like I'm gonna do that, but mine's fine because it was for charity. I my $300 mixer died for charity.
I'm kind of blown away that you've been mixer-less this entire time.
You should see me last night making souffle.
How'd you do it?
By hand. I whipped meringue by hand.
Like they did in the old days.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pioneers meringues.
Yeah.
If only there was something older than the pioneers. Like the French.
Yeah. Don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. So what's everyone working on now? Not, of course, Rob, because Rob's just working on work. He's not working on any. Although we don't know. He said he's tempted to come back. But
well, after all that talk about negative stuff, I guess I'm not going to come back to rag on the menu for this new Boardwalk restaurant.
Being negative is fun. It's fine. Yeah. It's just you gotta punch up.
Well, yeah, that's actually one of the first lessons you taught me, Kev, when I first started hanging out with you, is that because we talked to and worked with some what's the word I'm looking for here?
Just unscrupulous.
Terrified of where this is going.
Well, just that, like, I think that you and I together got exposed to a lot of decision making that was not punching up. It was a lot of punching down.
Oh, okay, I know what you're referring to, yes.
Yeah, and I never really thought about it. You know, I don't know. I worked in a family construction business. I had a theater degree. I wasn't making like editorial content. I was doing plays and musicals, but it was a really early thing. I kind of learned that it's just like, don't punch down. What's the point of punching down? Like it doesn't look good. It's not good for anybody. Like, don't punch down. It does no service. And it's just bananas to me how much of YouTube is punching down now. Just a lot of punching down.
You would think that theater would have exposed you to this, you know, more progressive mindset, but I've been to Broadway shows and they have some of the most old, like a show will open in like 2024 and you'll be like, this wouldn't be, you can't put this on TV with some of the stuff that goes on there. like Dear Evan Hansen. Like, you're like, holy cow! Is nobody? Like,
yeah.
And so you're never obviously you were never you made when you said that you made it sound like you're like, well, yeah. I mean, before I met you, Kevin, I was just making the most racist jokes, and I was you weren't doing that. That's not what you were doing. You were fine. It was more that it was just more of like the way who you decide to poke fun at within content is like
it definitely informed that a lot.
Yeah,
and it's interesting to me because I make a lot of commentary about costumes, and I never ever try to make fun of or comment on the person in the costume. I always try to laugh at or with or about how the costume was put together, how the costume was implemented, kind of whatever chaos that is. I really believe strongly. I mean, I can't understand half of the casting decisions that Disney makes for their live face costume characters. Like, just as crazy to me, half of what they do. But you can't talk about that because people get really upset about that. It's so funny. In Disneyland, the cast members are so violently protective of one another that if you're like, man, that Loki is looking a little weird, looking a little pale, I don't know what's going on with this Loki, everyone comes out of the woodwork like, ugh, don't you dare comment on the appearance of a cast member. And meanwhile, at Disney World, this Star-Lord came to Epcot, and oh my God, this guy's been mercilessly roasted by cast members himself. Good Lord.
I think they should just say, instead of like Star-Lord is coming to Epcot, they should say a guy dressed like Star-Lord is coming to Epcot.
Yeah. Star-Lord's helper. It's like Santa. Santa's not really here. It's Star-Lord's helper. Star-Lord's out saving the universe.
I'm in the also Disneyland's just a different beast. The Peter Pandem, that whole thing.
Sure. Yeah. Disneyland is a completely different animal. You and Jack just got to go to Disneyland.
Yeah, we did. We were at Disneyland.
We're gonna have to
Jack,
go back coming up.
Why?
Well, I'm gonna have to be there to see Walt, of course, but I can't get into all that.
Okay, yeah, you got to go visit Walt.
Yeah, but we were just at Disneyland.
Walking, talking Walt is going to be wild, man. It's going to be so cool to see him with this like weird, flappy, like animatronic jowls. Because whatever the department's got going on when it comes to like making face robots, I don't know. How did we fall? How did we fall so far behind? Like we did so well for so long.
The first animatronic to lean. I'm pretty sure that's going to be his. I honestly think that might be a special move because you know how like Benjamin Franklin can walk upstairs, and like certain animatronics can dance or sword fight, but like this is going to be the first animatronic that can lean. He's going to lean against the desk, and everyone's going to like gasp.
He can post up.
He can. Yeah. He's gonna put one leg up on his desk, rest his elbows on that knee, like a Captain Morgan pose.
Oh man, I got Walt in B mode. All he did was dab. He didn't lean on anything.
he just convulsed and shot hydraulic fluid out of his mouth.
And the curtains closed.
They got it. They got it right. That's how he was.
Now they won't have a cigarette in his hands, but there will be a pack of smokes on his desk. So they'll.
The Walt animatronic is the first animatronic that tries to balance scotch between his forearms while lighting a cigarette.
Jack, what did Walt smoke? Did you learn what his brand was?
He smoked just about it.
He smoked sausages for his sweet, sweet chili that he lived on intravenously.
Yeah. He only smoked hash, but
chili feeding tube.
He smoked hash.
Jazz cigarettes, as it were.
Walt loved to hit his dab rig and get super baked.
Walt was known for his mad clouds. So.
No, but seriously,
animatronic is
what
so
brand did he
realistic
smoke?
they had to put nicotine patches all over him just so it would stop trying to smoke.
It came to life.
I'm looking forward to people throwing boxes of cigarettes out of like women throw underwear at rock stars.
Like Everest. Like it's
yeah. I just can't wait for a litter of loose cigarettes to fill the stage. We got to get that. You know what? If they sell candy cigarettes out front for you to throw at it's a good way. It's like going to a petting zoo and they sell like they have to feed these animals, guys. When you go to a petting zoo, like legally, they own these animals for entertainment. They have to take care of them. They have to feed them. You don't need to pay $1.25 to feed. That's their job. That's their job. Okay. So all I'm saying is we could put candy cigarettes out front and make a fortune off of people just tossing them at Walt, because then you just gather them up, you put them back in the package, you resell them. It's easy. Bing, bang, boom.
No, I've only ever seen them.
Do you think that's what they? Hold on, sorry. Do you think that's what they do with the pets at the petting zoo?
Jack.
Because it's just at the end there, that whole cycle you've created. Do you think they gag the animals and they take the food back and put it back in the pellet machine?
No, I'm just saying they go back to the bag of food that they were already going to feed them and scoop
they just
out
double dip the paying for the food.
Right.
Okay.
Right. They're profiting more off of feeding their own animals than they are anyone petting the damn thing.
See, now this is a video that would get me to come back, is how much money are guests subsidizing the feeding of pets?
This is why Rob's better at podcasts, because Dan tried to do an analogy and my brain just turned into like that white static that happens when you turn on old TV. He's like, it's just like, and then I went, and
I hear it's just like, and I want to break it into as many pieces as I can.
It's like improv, you're supposed to yes and, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm just okay.
You yes and yourself to check out. You're like, yes and,
I'm
done.
Yeah, all right. It's the cardinal rule of podcasting. Whenever you get someone, you're like, all right, okay.
Jack, you
Anyways,
had something to say.
Jack, what did they smoke?
Oh, I was going to say, the only thing I've ever caught Walt Disney with was Lucky Strikes, but I hear he was also into Chesterfields and basically just anything he could kind of get his hands on in the moment. You need it.
He was a true addict.
Yeah. Can't be picky.
Oh, no. Well, at the end of every one of my episodes, I love to talk to my guests about what we're doing for fun right now. It's a podcast about fun. So let's talk about your fun thing. And I'd like to go first.
Well, we didn't. Sorry to interrupt, but we didn't talk about what we're working on. We just agreed that Rob was working on nothing.
That's all you needed to hear.
Consensus.
And that petting zoos are a good investment. I think that was the other.
Yeah, I didn't hear
there
that.
we go. We've learned so much. Jack, can you tell us what you gave us a little tease at the beginning? It's so fun. I would love for you to tell the audience what's coming next from Theme Park Shouldn't Exist.
Oh yeah. Well, depending on when this goes out, it might be up. It's the thing about the World Key information system over at Epcot. That was the information system they used to have. It was like
Let me tell you about my information system.
It was kind of your key to the world. Yeah. But it was just like a digital directory of early instance of like networking technology and kind of the history that goes outside of the park and predates it, and some interesting stuff there.
Interesting. So that the technology that people would eventually use to like have like Halo LAN parties was pioneered at Epcot, is what you're saying.
Yeah, in such an indirect and roundabout way, technically, yes. So it's just a really, technology is just insane. Any history with that, that's how you get stuck in the weeds, because it's so non-linear. It's so stuff happening in different parts of the world, parallel inventions and stuff like that. So it always
Did you find any good video or footage or photos of like the old FaceTime cast member stuff in use?
Oh yeah, that was a good bit of that. So
there'll
be some of that. Yeah, because I mean it had the video chat capability. I mean all this kind of like halfway futuristic stuff. It's pretty fascinating. So world key information stuff, and then I guess just beyond that, I'm just interested in theme parks. All the weird stuff, all the old stuff, all the unique stuff, all the stuff people don't talk about. That's if there's ever a topic that really gets my gears going, and the next like 10 things that are lined up are things that are interesting and we can all agree are interesting, but no one just wants to do the dirty work and talk about it and do the deep research.
Can you give me just reach over into the bucket of those 10 things and give me one sample of a thing that's too dirty for us that people don't want to talk about? They don't want to do the dirty work.
You know, it's hard to even give one out without just even like revealing what a topic is. Sometimes it's too much. It's too crazy. It's not like saying Haunted Mansion. Like
he has no idea.
It's hard to pick
I
a
must just say
favorite.
that's the biggest political
Jack
answer I've ever heard.
Your Honor, Jack is.
Jack doesn't know. Your
No,
Honor,
he
can we strike that from the record?
I have the
Jack.
text from Jack. It's something about how much lightning you need to capture to power Walt Disney World in Orlando.
I'm just saying
They'll
that the
call you
lightning thing is
crazy
just
if you talk about
untapped
that.
potential. Right, but look who all has OLEDs and YouTube Premium now. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's all
man.
I'm saying before
Every
you know it.
about YouTube
It's all-
Premium.
It's all you're ever saying.
I want to know what the next thing is he thinks he's going to introduce us to that we've all
saw you
either
watching
already
Netflix.
have or yes.
Hello, hello. That
saw
was
you
me.
walking
I
on
told
2
you
feet.
about Netflix. What's that? Is that a banana? Oh wow, looks like my influence. Is that a banana
told
in
you
your
guys.
pocket?
Finally
Well, I
got
told
you
you about
guys.
bananas.
I'm just saying that I just influence my friends. Is all. It's just all. And one day you guys will come back around on lightning batteries. Like once Elon does it, you're going to be like, Dan, you figure you knew before Elon, and I'll be like,
Yeah,
I
that's
knew,
gonna
I
really
knew.
sway me when Elon says it's a good idea.
Kevin, what are you working on? Because I'm excited about this.
What was
video.
Jack's thing, Jack?
Oh,
No,
you're
no,
gonna
no.
let we were letting Jack off the hook. He couldn't think of
okay.
one.
No, I can think of stuff, but it's okay.
We can't
just
say
move
it's
on.
too
Think of stuff, Jack?
crazy. You can't ask a guy what's something too crazy for people to talk about. Because I mean,
And then without unpacking it. I mean, I don't want to get
Yeah.
into it. I'm getting nervous. Let me just tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing, because this isn't anything, not an actual video or a topic or anything like that. But I just had this thought. I'm like, if anybody else was going to talk about the Holy Land experience or whatever, because it's down here, it's what I'm like. If I was going to make a video on that, I was considering it for half a second. I'm like, my number one take, my main thing that I'd have to bring up is just like, yeah, it's really interesting because like no one ever talks about like Bible times as a themed environment. And it's like, can we just rate Holy Land on how well they're doing that? Like how much it looks like a Passion of the Christ set piece. And it's like let's just talk about that. Why do we got to get so big picture here?
Right, yeah, just how well executed they did biblical imagery. You're right.
The
Yeah.
interesting thing about the Holy Land is that every time they'd use the nails in the crucifix, they just reuse them again. It was an easy way to
Right.
Cost cutting. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
getting rid of
just-
the
They're
fog and
magnets.
Frozen Ever After.
Yeah.
Magnet crucifix nails.
Yep.
Super
Easy.
super reusable.
Easy peasy.
Well, you know what? Passion of the Christ 2 is coming out soon, so we might see a resurgence in Christianity. So, well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
That's going to put it over the edge.
Have you heard about the new trendy thing in Paris? It's Christianity.
Man, Holy Land, R.I.P.
I know
Thank
they're going
you,
to look
Jack.
silly when
It'll
there's
be
a
back in-
resurgence.
It'll be back in
It'll
3
be
days.
back. It'll be back. It'll be back. Yeah. All right, Kev, what are you working on?
I have a podcast. Jack's on it.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah.
It's not like your average podcast, but I'll never tell. It's
You'll
very
never
coy. No, the
You just put out an episode with Rob and I on it too. We had a fun
just
little
Rob. You're coming in 3 weeks.
right. This
Yes.
I guess this will come out.
You've heard it. It's on
Next
Patreon. If you're at the Defunctland Patreon, you can listen to our episode. You're the finale for season 3. So you're going to be at the end. You're the heavy hitter.
we make a good group, the four of us. We
That
hold
was-
each other accountable.
People love that episode.
We also know how to take the piss. It's fun.
It's doing that. It's called Where We Parked. It's Jack and I's podcast, but
What
Rob
a great
come-
name! I hate the two of you for that name. It's such a good one.
Hate him. He came up with it.
It has so many layers, like an ogre. It just has so many layers to peel back.
Well, wait,
Because-
hold on.
because
The
where
ogre
we
doesn't
parked-
have layers.
Yeah, onions have layers, Dan, not ogres.
No, I
But
believe
then
that
Shrek had layers too. That's why
Shrek
Shrek
was-
Oh,
was
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, valid.
Shrek, the whole goddamn
It's a
thing
double
about onions parfaits is that ogres have layers, guys.
You know what? I retract that statement. I'm sorry.
Well, you're not making history videos on ogres, so I get it. I get it. These kind of topics don't excite you, but I love the title, guys, because Where We Parked is so funny because it's like where we parked, but then it's also a conversation about where we parked.
Yeah,
And there's a good
Yeah.
5 minutes
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
beginning about like where the car is and what.
yeah.
row we're in.
Every episode starts with us looking for the car for 10 minutes.
We forgot we had to wait down one of the security vehicles
Now
with the flashing
I've
lights.
recorded an exclusive episode called "We Parked Right Here" with Jack in my car.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, that was going to be my answer too to what's the favorite Distory video. Not that podcast, but the On Ice video, because it facilitated all that. Guess when that happened?
Facilitated all of that. Yeah. "We Parked Right Here" is one of my favorite Jack jokes that I have ever had. So fun. But no, seriously though, Kev, I'm really excited about this episode you're working on.
Yeah,
because you've talked to me a lot about it.
You mean my Defunctland episode?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, working on a video about animatronics. So robots and mechanisms and hydraulics and pneumatics and all sorts of different.
Will you talk about the floor that moves things?
No, I'll mention it briefly. But
Wait a minute, just for you, Dan.
I am making sure to mention the room that charges everything.
Oh my gosh!
Disney Research created a room that everything in it is wireless charged, and it's like the ugliest room ever because it has to have like a giant like copper wire in the middle, and also probably gives you like headaches for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
but it's so yeah.
I've shortened my life by 15 years.
Yeah,
but my phone is 5%.
Yeah.
Dude, it was lightning fast. I passed through the room in 2 seconds in the queue.
Yeah. Hey, not to go back to me taking credit for things by introducing them to you, but that I brought you to that article, so I'm going to take credit for it.
Thank you.
Room charging.
This might be your biggest influence episode because so much of it is about characters.
Yeah, true. No, true. But through that journey, we found the robot that Disney invented to hug you.
Yeah, that one's in the video. I don't want to spoil that one, but they've invented a lot of weird stuff. So
yeah, so much weird stuff that it's interesting looking back at it all, and then kind of seeing what Imagineering's doing now with being like, oh, we've got a skateboarding bunny robot, and oh, we've got a weasel that can pull up a shade. Like all these weird robot demos that ultimately like go nowhere, do nothing. It's like a once off, and then pathetic. It's like the technology just immediately gets written off, or so, I don't know. Like it's wild. It's
like impressive, but imagine that, like 2 miles an hour of wind would make Duke Weaselton
would kill him,
launch him like Spider-Man when he tries to go up. Right. The thing.
Oh man, the time Spider-Man hit the wall. Was just.
It was hilarious.
Incredible.
It was funny because they had the fake video for like a month before that of Spider-Man. Like there's a fake one of Spider-Man hitting the wall, and the one where he actually hits the wall is so much more violent and real. Like the one where the fake one he hits the wall, he kind of like hits it and like floats and then kind of hits it and falls down. The one where it's real, it's just all of a sudden it's BAM! And it just like smacks and like destroys. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's so funny because the fake one would be like corridor crew watching the real crash, be like, oh, we can fix this, we can make this better. See how Spider-Man hits the wall and then floats a little bit so you can register it in your eyes before it slides. It's like, god damn it, corridor crew.
The real one's great. And that's where I'm glad they're not using live performers, because it would be way less funny if that wasn't the guy.
Because they would still do it. I mean, you have to have Spider-Man. He's the biggest property we have right now.
Spider-Man would fly another 2 hours later. There'd be a dead guy out back, but there'd be another Spider-Man swing, and you can guarantee it.
I also wonder if the reason that the VFX version like had that weird float and like hit is because it was like it was light, like it was specifically meant for a human. Like they were treating the physics of the Spider-Man in the VFX, the guy that did the VFX joke, as if we're a human. But the reality is, it's like a 900-pound animatronic.
Yeah. It's a cannonball. It's a cannonball shaped like Spider-Man.
Throwing your car engine block into a building.
Basically, yeah. He cracks the concrete when it lands. It gets up.
Keeps going.
Oh my goodness. I love also the guy who had Kylo Ren in a T-pose that he put in to Rise of the Resistance. I don't know if you saw that one, the spinning T-pose Kylo Ren. It's great. I love a malfunctioning animatronic. But I'm really excited for you to take on the living characters and like animatronics in general. because what a wild thing that Disney's done and then completely abandoned.
Yeah, well, not entirely, but they've abandoned many along the way. But yeah, the first video I'm doing though is a review of the new Cake Bake Shop, which is a restaurant that is going to be at.
And you're just not gonna order anything. You're just gonna you're gonna review it before you even get to order anything.
No, I'm gonna use Rob's theme music because I miss that so much. I miss clicking on those videos. Dun 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 beep. I missed that.
No, it's bump bump a bump bump a bump doop.
Excuse me. That's right.
You're both making me realize I don't know if I remember my own theme music anymore.
This is like finding out that like your favorite musician. You're like, how'd you write that song? And they're like, I don't know.
I hate that one. It's my least favorite.
Yeah, I woke up and the sheet music was written.
I love that movie. What were you thinking in that scene? I was just thinking that we had lunch in 5 minutes, and so we just shot it in one take. I thought it was genius that it was in one take. I didn't like it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rob, I'm telling you, man. I heard that opening song in the YouTube music library not too long ago. It was like instantly I went, "Oh my god, that's Rob's song." It was actually weird to hear like the rest of it.
I'll be shooting an episode or two in Rob's office again this year, so I will just do a fake out and start my episode with the Rob music. Yeah, I'll stand in front of that iconic bookshelf of yours, full of your dusty trinkets, and it's all right. All my trinkets are dusty too. All right, we end each episode with what we're doing for fun. It's fun. Let's talk about some fun stuff we're doing.
Is it like putting my trinkets on blast, but for being dusty in front of
we ain't letting that slide, bro. We're bringing it to the next segment. There's a lot of trinkets
there. I don't know, I don't have a regular duster for it. What are you
Rob's
do?
Dusting. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing this afternoon.
Got to go there.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
Dan, what are you doing for fun? You were going to start.
What I'm doing for fun, I'm going to start is taking my children who have like entered the age where they're like, "Oh, I'm brave now, Dad. Let's go to the haunted attraction at our local theme park." So I am taking my children now because we have annual passes. We dip in right when the park opens and the haunted attractions open up. Dorney Park. We do like one or two haunted houses and then we bail. We get out before like the lines start to fill up. And it is so much fun because they overhype themselves to such a degree going into these just completely cheesy, cringy high school and college kids, poorly painted, going like, or like, "Come here, my pretties." But they, man, freak out so hard. It's like they lose their goddamn minds. And then they get out and they're like, they laugh and they're like, "Oh wow, none of that was real. I guess that was funny." But in the moment, man, they lose themselves. They become the most terrified children I've ever witnessed. And it's super funny. I don't know. Traumatizing my children, I guess, is what I'm doing for fun. How about you, Nathan? What is Myrtle?
So Myrtle is it's now a bunch of books, but it's also a puzzle you can do online, and it's supposed to be sort of like a mystery, like someone dies and then you have to figure out where they died and with what object, kind of Clue-ish.
But you're guessing 5-letter words at the same time?
No, they just like to use the term Erdl now, or whatever for different things. But
okay, it has nothing to do with letter guessing.
No,
okay.
And it's more like the murderer. They'll give you information about each suspect and a little information about each weapon and a little information about each location, and then they'll just sort of it's sort of the either or scenario where it's like they'll give you 5 statements. So.
It's just a critical thinking game.
Yeah, and so it's like there was a blonde hair found at the murder scene. You go, okay, well, this person's blonde and this person's blonde, so we know it's not the other person. And so you sort of fill out this little graph that kind of will lead you to figuring out who does it. And they're just fun little puzzles. They're in book form now, which has been fun. I kind of like the tangible nature of taking a pencil to a book and doing the puzzle. So yeah,
one
Myrtle,
of those.
It's charming. It's charming.
I love it. I can't wait to not play it.
Yeah,
not
you're not
my
gonna
thing.
do it.
I'm sorry.
No.
Not my thing. No.
Critical
it sounds
thinking,
fun.
not a Dan thing.
Well, it's not. Those were my least favorite questions on state testing in high school. You know what I mean? The thing, it's like, don't give me all the red herring information. You know what I mean? Just tell me what's up. Tell me the business.
He's gonna do one or two, and then in a month from now, he's gonna be like, "Nate, I got you to play Myrtle.
Yeah.
See, got you into Myrtle. What's next? OLED and the Myrtle."
I'm telling you, I had YouTube Premium before all of you. I just want to say, I had it before all of you.
Would have never
Early
heard of it or
adopter.
anything.
Rob, what are you doing for fun?
I got into modding Game Boys, and I did that on accident because I dug up my old Game Boy Advance.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So we went through the garage, found my old Game Boy Advance from I think it was 2001. Took it apart to clean it, and then found out that you can go online and you can buy all these new parts for it. So like I forgot, but the old Game Boy Advance didn't have a backlit screen. You had to do that like hunch over with a light perfectly, but you can go buy now a backlit screen for it and put that in. You can buy a lithium ion battery and put that in, so you don't need to use AA's. New speakers.
This is my
whatever.
Game Boy Worm Light.
Yeah.
Made by Nyko.
Don't need
You
that
would plug
anymore.
it the side, and so you put a light in your Game Boy Advance.
Well, it's a backlit screen. It's like any modern.
Oh, you just got a new screen. Oh, wow.
New
Interesting.
screen, new case, new buttons, new
Well,
battery.
it's like
Theseus's
Theseus's Game
Yeah,
Boy.
it is 100%. The only thing left is the motherboard from the original. So I built that, and then also because I still haven't gone on that Japan trip from the last podcast episode. When I go there, I'm going to buy a couple more Game Boys and mod them because it's fun. I learned to solder a little bit, get to take some electronics apart. It's been like a new hobby.
Nice.
That's cool. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's great. Jack, what are you doing for fun, buddy?
Dude, I'm so jealous of Rob, the trajectory you're on getting into circuitry stuff right now. This is going to be, I can't in good consciousness say this is something I'm working on now. This is a many years into the future project, but recently I grabbed from the past, you guys are going to love this, a Mr. Clock radio from eBay, because I have an old one that's broken, so I got a backup one that works. But now, I mean, you could probably open that sucker up and like the guy on YouTube who reprograms like Big Mouth, Billy Bass, or whatever those other ones are that you can get and make them sing like modern songs. I mean, I could get this robot, this little Mr. Clock radio from, you used to get it at CVS, make them do all types of stuff. So, but I need to make YouTube
grilled
videos.
cheese. I'm going to have him get my mail, get my slippers. It's going to be amazing. It's going to have like having a robot dog.
Yeah. Well,
You remember those robot dogs for a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Aibo.
like gray.
Of course.
Yeah,
They're
everyone.
all cops
God.
now. Oh,
Dude, the
are you talking
eyefish is
about
working.
the ones from the 90s? I thought you were talking about the Boston Dynamics ones.
Yeah, those robot dogs. Yeah, those are robot cops.
All those
now, yeah.
nano pets are all cops.
Dude, a
All the
SEMO arrested
Tamagotchis.
me the other day, bro. He pulled
I
me
got
over.
prosecuted by a
is-
Digimon.
My Tamagotchi is perpetuating the police state.
Yeah. Just prints out tickets.
Yeah. Feed me.
Incredible. Kevin, what are you doing for fun, buddy?
I'm cooking, as always. I smoked ribs for the first time yesterday. The first time the correct way. I've done it before, but I've never actually done it, and I messed it up. But it's fine. I overcooked them, which means they were too fall apart.
Ooh, so are you getting into smoking? Is that a new thing you're doing?
Don't beat
Yeah,
yourself up, man.
I have a smoker, but I've only used it for grilling pretty much because I don't know. I've smoked some stuff, but this is my first foray into smoking and using
Just
the
like
smoker
Walt.
as a smoker. Just like Walt. That's right.
Yeah. Smoking them Lucky Strikes.
And so doing that, made some good mac and cheese yesterday.
Gotcha.
That's
So
what I do
you're-
for fun.
No mix.
Yeah, people, and I guess this kind of got exposed in the last Charity Land, but you love to cook. You're a big cooker.
Yeah.
It's wild. We come over to your place, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, here's a bunch of beautifully like rendered steak frites, and I cut my own French fries, and
I was going to say,
by the way,
was that the Super Bowl where we
Yeah,
came
the
over
Super Bowl one year
and
I had
you
you
gave
over.
us like a steak, just like a steak flight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
a bunch
like
of
four,
steaks.
4 different types of steaks, 3 different
Beautiful
types of
sauce.
fries.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of and then a sauce that I made. And yeah, I love to cook. It's my favorite thing. I would do it every day if I could.
Like to cook and fancy eat.
Without becoming a chef, because I feel my goal is to never monetize it. Well, I hope that continues, because there's always the
So explain the hamwich.
The handwich?
Yeah, you monetized it, bro.
Oh right, I did. You're right.
There you go. You've ruined his hobby.
But that was a video predominantly that you happened to cook during. You know what I mean?
If I was Rob, I'd be like, well, I didn't even like that video. I love that video.
I don't remember it.
I love your theme song. I don't even have a theme song. Yes, you do.
What are you talking about?
That episode was sponsored by Raycons too. I specifically remember.
Yes, I do. It was the only time I ever got a product.
Wow.
Yeah. Because we did one that was sponsored by a trivia game.
Swag IQ.
Swag IQ.
The Flight by Night trivia game that was during the Trivia HQ. What was it called?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What was it?
Everyone was playing that damn
HQ?
trivia game. Yeah, I think so.
Or Trivia IQ.
Trying to win money.
What was the name of that?
I think that was it.
Trivia
HQ, yeah.
Whatever it was, yeah. Swag IQ was a knockoff that sponsored us for our
Swag IQ.
I don't think it exists anymore.
What a legacy we've left, guys. What an amazing amount of content we've made. It's been great. Thanks for coming on my podcast and hanging out with me. Thank you for none of you reading the text where I said come do my podcast, and all of you showing up confused as to what I wanted to talk to you about.
I read
despite the fact that in my text it says, "Hey guys, come do my podcast."
I mean, bro, I knew we were doing a podcast. I'm just like, I woke up today, I texted you guys. I'm like, whose house are we doing this at? It's online.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Hey, at least I knew we were doing a podcast, guys. I got that part right.
Listen, we all had one key part of that text, and when we all came together, we had the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm on an ancient quest to figure out what the hell I'm doing with myself, and thank God I have all three of
Jack's
you
in a car right now, driving around trying to find the studio.
I thought we rented space.
Jack's made it to Atlanta now. By now, he's already in Georgia. He's looking around.
We're at our second location now, Jack. Just so you know.
Company move.
Yeah, we did a company move. Yes. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Kevin, Jack will soon return for their own episodes. As Kevin so saltily put at the beginning of the experience. Rob, always a pleasure. Thanks for talking to me about Lorcana.
I will not be back, apparently.
Rob will not be back.
In 5 years.
Rob has been exiled.
The Lorcana episode, bad numbers. See you, Rob.
This has been great. This has been fun, as I say. But now the podcast is over. Thanks for listening. Now go.
This has been a production of 710 Media.